welcome to another meditation session. Here we go. At the Buddha Center in Nalamara. And again, for those of you who are coming for the Introduction to Meditation class that is being held in the room to my right, this is the ongoing class for those who have meditated before. We sit a bit longer here, which gives more time for the mind to become quiet, for it to settle down. The whole idea of things settling down, getting more calm and more peaceful is an important perception in meditation. Because if we think of things settling down, we know that whenever we do something, whenever we interfere, whenever we try and get somewhere or get rid of things, what we're really doing is disturbing that whole process of settling. And sometimes the only thing we can do, and the best thing we can do, is just to look on with equanimity and just watch as things become calmer and quieter. And a lot of times I describe meditation just as a journey in which you are a passenger, not the driver. Because you find if you are the driver, then you tend to agitate the mind and it never settles down. And so even just thinking or conceiving of the mind as you are not the driver of it, but the passenger. Even like separating yourself out. That, this mindfulness, this knowing, and what you're experiencing are two different things. You put space between the knower and what you are knowing. Because if you put space between those two, you'll find then you have the opportunity to actually do something. In other words, to let go. When I was in Singapore a couple of weekends ago, instead of being here, someone was presenting some of the latest techniques of psychology, and I noticed there was one psychologist over in the eastern states, and he had borrowed something which I knew was from me. You've often heard me here talk about how big is the hand. And when I put it in front of me, I say my hand is so big I can't see anything in the whole world. It's not my hand's problem, it's perspective. I should put my hand where it belongs, at the end of my arm. And apparently there's some psychologist who's created a method now, which he's making a lot of money out of. Maybe Chris might know this guy. And he did the same. He said, this is your thoughts. And if you put your thoughts right up here, all you can see is your thoughts, and you get obsessed with your thoughts. If you put your thoughts out here where they belong, then you have some opportunity to let them go. They're not so close to you, you can get perspective, you can just leave them alone. You're not so entangled in those thoughts. And so at least my talks here are being listened to by people, and I suppose they're making some money for their family on it. But this is actually how you can deal with some of the thoughts which you can get entangled in when you are meditating, which is usually the biggest problem. You are trying to settle things down, but the thoughts go on and on and on and on. And how you stop that, please put the thoughts outside of you. Now at a distance, 2 or 3 feet in front of you. And then you are just in here, just watching these thoughts. Then it's easy not to get entangled. In the same way, you may be watching a movie at home, and you will find when you first turn the movie on, you are sitting in your armchair, and the movie's happening on the TV screen. But after a few seconds, you are right in that TV screen. You are right there. So much so that if somebody gets shot, you start crying. If somebody, I remember this when I was a young man going to the movies with your friends. If somebody is creeping up to kill the hero, people in the audience would shout out, "Hey, look behind you." And it was just a movie, they couldn't hear you. But still you would shout out that, "Hey, look behind you." And that's the same if any of you watch football on the TV. You can see these guys sitting in their armchairs at home watching a soccer match going on, say, in Brazil somewhere. And they shout out, kick the ball, stupid." Can the person hear you? They're not even in the same country. They're actually It's just a TV you're shouting out. And the TV has got no ears. Now you're wasting your time. But why do people do that? Because you get involved. You get entangled in this fantasy going on the TV screen. And that's actually what happens with your thinking. You're thinking backwards and forwards. You're entangled in it, which is why it keeps going on and on and on and on. If you could just remember, you sit back here, the thoughts are out there just like a TV, then you don't bother with it. Then you can let it go. Then you can see that most of the thoughts in your mind, they are just like soap operas. Not good soap operas either. I've lost my sound. Hello? We go anywhere? They're just like soap operas. Not good ones. They're crazy stuff. If you told your thoughts to somebody else, would they be interested? Absolutely not. So, the best thing for you to do is to let the thoughts disappear. When you find a distance between you and the thoughts, then there is no entanglement possible anymore. So if you're meditating and you're trying to settle everything down, you have thoughts coming up, try and look at the thoughts like things acting out on a screen, like a movie or like on the TV screen. It's not yours. And then because you're not entangled, it's so easy to let them go, to let them disappear, to let them fade away. And then things really settle down. Remember, a lot of the thoughts are what actually excites you, what give you an emotional hit, which means your sort of mind still goes on and on and on. So if you can just let them go, imagine just how easy it is to settle down and become peaceful. So that's why the thinking mind is one of the biggest distractions of all. So see in this meditation, if you are thinking, just put them outside a little bit. Put some space between you and the thoughts. Then you become disentangled. Because you're disentangled, you'll see them for what they really are, and you can let them go pretty easily. And then you can have a nice, peaceful meditation. And what happens next? You get very still and very peaceful. And even this method of meditation, which I've been teaching for years now, I know that someone said the other day, well, what about the breath? You're supposed to be doing breath meditation. I said, yes, but the breath comes out by itself. When you start settling down and becoming calm, then you find that quite naturally you'll be aware of the only thing which is moving, which is the breath going in and out. And if it comes up naturally, in other words, you don't force it, it just comes to you, then you will find the breath is always really, really peaceful and very easy to watch. When things are easy to watch, easy on the eye, as they say, then you don't have to put effort to watch the breathing. The breathing is just there for you, and you settle that down as well. Everything becomes calmer and more peaceful and more still. And if that's what you do, you soon start to enjoy the peace. I say enjoy the peace. It has a certain pleasure to it. And I love people noticing the pleasure of just a peaceful mind. If you notice the pleasure of a peaceful mind, then that peaceful mind stays with you for a long time. It doesn't go anywhere because you are enjoying it. And once you get to that stage, the enjoyable, peaceful mind, everything else goes very quickly and very peacefully and very smoothly. So that's actually how we're meditating. So having given you that one little piece of advice today of trying to put some separation between you and your thoughts when you're meditating, and then you can find you can let them go pretty easily. Now we can actually give it a try to get some meditation actually going. So if you're not already in your meditation posture, sit down, adjust your body, get your bottom just in the right place, close your eyes, and now we can meditate. So with your eyes closed, please bring awareness to your body. Just ask the body, how are you feeling? Is there anything I can do for you to make you more comfortable. And if there is something which you can do, then please do it as soon as possible. Scratch, blowing your nose, coughing, whatever you wish to do, please do it. So real compassion is not just thinking kindness, it's doing kind things. Whatever your body needs to become more comfortable, more at ease. Still be aware of your body and find out how you can relax it even more. How are your feet now? Are your feet comfortable? Your legs. Be aware of these parts of the body and you relax them until you can feel they're really comfortable. Scanning your body from toe to head. Make sure you haven't left anything out. Your bottom sitting on the chair or the cushion. How comfortable is it? Move it if necessary. Your waist. your chest, shoulders. You review every part of your body. Your arms and your hands, can you feel them? Do they need to be rearranged? And the neck and head. I like to ask people to be aware of the muscles around the mouth. Shows a lot about your attitude. If your mouth is screwed tight, it means you're trying too hard. If there's a little smile on the face, it means you're looking forward to meditation. That is the best posture, a tiny smile. You're aware of your body, you're being kind. It's called kindfulness. And the body reacts by being peaceful, by being comfortable. And hopefully you can experience, like I'm experiencing now, the delight of a comfortable body. Once the body is relaxed, really feeling comfortable, then that's the time to let it go. By focusing on the body so much, it helps weaken the thoughts, settling the mind by settling the body. When you let it go, You can now settle the mental world. And if there are thoughts in the mind, put a distance between the thoughts and you. Imagine them like clouds in the sky, or like events on a screen, and you're sitting a few feet away, just watching, unentangled, not part of the thoughts, as you're not part of the movie. Getting very close to the end of the meditation now. How do you feel? How peaceful are you? And why do you feel this way? What have you done, or more importantly, what didn't you do to create this peaceful state of mind? At the end of the meditation, we reflect to find out what works or what doesn't in meditation. And also to gain the insight based on experience, to know what peace of mind feels like, the bliss of contentment. So now ring the gong 3 times to end the meditation. Please listen to every sound from the gong and let the 3rd ringing of the gong take you out for meditation. Very good. Okay, so please now get yourselves comfortable again. There's usually a few questions, first of all from overseas, because this is streamed live overseas. So can we have the overseas questions first of all, Christina? And there we can see if there's any questions from our local audience. Here we go. Question 1 we have from Los Angeles, Romania and California. It's amazing because in California and Los Angeles must be how many hours different from here? It's almost 14 hours. So that must be about early in the morning to listen to us. We get up very early, Josh, in Los Angeles. You often spoke about controlling nerves during important exams at Cambridge. I'm sitting in a bar exam next week. The bar exam, is that where you have to test whether you can mix cocktails? No, I know what bar exam is, a lawyer. How can I use meditation to help me through the grueling exam? Okay, for those who haven't heard that story before, I learned how to meditate when I was 18. When I was 20, we had to do the final examinations in theoretical physics at Cambridge University, starting on Monday morning, 3-hour exam in the morning, an hour for lunch, 3-hour in the afternoon, the same on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday too. It was pretty rough. 6 days in a row, 3-hour in the morning, 3-hour in the afternoon. And instead of having lunch for the hour, I went back to my room, sat down on my cushion and meditated for half an hour. Really brilliant thing to do. And this is what happens. As soon as I sat down, the first thing which came into my mind was thinking about the exam I'd just done in the morning. And of course, we all know the exam paper is in. You cannot change it now. Right or wrong is too late. But even though logic and reason says, oh, let it go, can you let it go? Even a simple thing like that, no, you keep worrying about what you did in the morning examination. But because I had trained in meditation, I could let the past go. I've been training, that's what we do in meditation. The past, let it disappear. Why carry around things which cannot be changed? Just like the exams you've done in your life. I'm not talking about the ones on pieces of paper, the tests, the trials, the decisions you've made. Right or wrong, it's been done, you cannot change it now. Let it go. So the first thoughts which came up were to do with the past. I let them go. So I wasn't concerned about the morning exam. And then as soon as I let go of the past, the next thing which came up into my mind was the anxiety about the exam about to happen in half an hour's time. This was important. Final examinations at university. My whole career was said to depend upon this. Ha ha ha. If only I'd have known I was going to become a monk, I wouldn't have worried so much. But you never knew that. So, the thoughts of the afternoon exam would come up into my mind, but I could let them go. Now is the time your future is being made. I said that many times. That's so reasonable and logical. I knew that if I was going to do well in the afternoon exam, I had to rest in the present moment. It's obvious, your brain was tired, it needed to energize. I could let go of the anxiety for the future because I had trained myself. So that's the next thing I let go of, all concern about the exam, which is going to come up in half an hour's time. And so I let go of the future, so I could be in the present moment. And the next two things which happened were surprising, but happens to many people. As soon as I let go of all past and all future, I became aware of my body, and it was shaking. And I never thought of myself as a nervous person. But this was an extreme situation, final examinations. I was actually shaking because of the nervous anxiety of the whole thing. But as soon as you notice what the body's doing, it's so easy to relax it. As I say, mindfulness of the body means you can relax the body. And only after about 5 minutes, the body had stopped shaking, was really relaxed. And the last thing I noticed in half an hour was how tired my brain was. You've done 3 hours of very, very tough questions. And your brain gets exhausted. But most people don't even know that. You're not aware enough. So busy with the past and future, worrying about stuff, you don't know what's going on in your body or in your brain. As soon as I realized how tired my brain was, I just relaxed it. And all the energy came back. I often say, even today, in talks to business, I just gave a big talk at the big oil company in Thailand, PTTP, a couple of days ago when I was over in Thailand. And just telling them, look, if you want to sort of compete in a very, very competitive business world, you have to have an edge. And your edge is you know how to relax. So 3 hours of hard work, which a lot of you do in your offices, your brain is tired, but you don't notice it, which means that your productivity goes way down. Because I realized my brain was tired, I just could relax it. And just sitting there in the present moment, just relaxing your brain, and all the energy comes back. So after half an hour meditation, I'd let go of the past, number one, let go of the future, which for me was a morning exam and the afternoon exam, relax my body, and re-energize my brain. And of course, what a brilliant technique that was. After the examinations, I did extremely well. It's obvious because you're relaxed. You were productive. Your brain was back to its peak. And so that's how I did so well in those morning examinations, the final examinations at Cambridge University in theoretical physics. And to me, it's just, I don't see why other people don't do that. So if you've got a bar exam, Josh, remember, before you do those examinations, just really relax. Actually, I told that story last year at Carmel School, the Jewish school over in Dinell or somewhere, I think. And because one of my mates there, Moshe Bernstein, he's a good friend of mine, and he was teaching the religious course. And I went there just before the TEE, and I got a letter from him in January this year saying, "Thank you so much, Ajahn Brahm. We've never done so well in the examinations before because of your technique. Thank you so much." It actually works. Told all the kids exactly what to do before the examinations. And kids are great, they can follow instructions so easily. Just before the examination, the first examination, they let go of the future, they relaxed. And just get their body nice and relaxed, get their brain, so if they're not worrying about anything, because that just exhausts the brain. So many kids, they go into examinations, or Josh, you can go into examinations exhausted before you answer the first question, because of worry. So learn how to let go of the past, let go of the future, relax your body, and just re-energize your brain. And it works. And it's not grueling anymore. It's just a very peaceful exam. So it really works. And so that's why we can do this amazing stuff if we know how to meditate. From Romania, when I close my eyes, I can't think of my body. I hate it. I start to watch my breath. Is that wrong? Well, you don't hate your body. I'm sure your body's not that bad. Look at me. I'm fat and old and ugly. I don't hate my body. I got used to it. So, but anyway, there's obviously a problem there if you hate your body. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. You may have some chronic pain or something, which is fair enough if the body's giving you a lot of torture. Then maybe you might hate it. But if you start to watch the breath, that isn't wrong. Just watch your breath and at least love your breath. And I say love your breath because if you hate something, you always want to control it. If you love the breath, you let it be. You just like being around it. You love nature, which is why people don't want to control it. They want to just appreciate it. And if you can have that type of attitude with your breath, in other words, regarding your breathing as your best friend, not your slave. When people do breath meditation, a lot of times they try and control it because they think it's another thing which they own, which they can order around. Breath go in this way, breath go out that way. Come on, breath just be peaceful. Breath don't be sort of so unhelpful. But no, you just got to respect these things. Just like your body, it doesn't really belong to you. You think it does. But when your body gets old, it gets old whether you like it or not. When it gets sick, whether you like it or not. You can't order your body around. So instead you realize your body is a friend. And you regard your body as a friend, not your slave. And then you can work with your body and you find you're much healthier. You look at your mind with all its stupidities, with all its psychosis, whatever. Don't look upon it as something to be changed, as if you could be the master of your brain. Look upon it as your friend. Yeah, my brain is sometimes really stupid. It tells bad jokes. But it's not my fault. I totally disown my brain. It's not me, not mine, not a self. So-called the Buddha. So I disown it. So whatever it does, please don't blame me. And that way you can just let it be. So I'm a friend to my mind. So if you can do that, then it's not wrong. You find it gets very, very peaceful. Lastly, from Peony from California. The medication I rely on to live gives me a constant feeling of intoxication. How should I address this? And would I still be able to truly achieve stillness in meditation? Surprisingly, Peony, yes, you can. Because what really happens, that's part of the brain. And later on in meditation, just the mind really takes over. So the medication affects the brain, but the mind is something totally different. And look, because one of my stories, that time when I had scrub typhus, and I had goodness knows how much medication inside of me. Those were the days in, I don't know, 38 years, 39 years ago. That was the days I was put in this, the monks' ward of this Ubon hospital, the only hospital in this little town in the third world country. It was a backwaters of anywhere. And as soon I had scrubbed, no one knew exactly what it was in those days. Had this really high fever and went to hospital. And they put me in this bed and drips all over the place. And then, it was in a ward. And when it came to 6 p.m., the nurse disappeared. And by 7 p.m., no night nurse had come. 8 p.m., still no one there. And I talked to the man next to me, should we tell someone the night nurse hasn't come? And he said, what do you mean? There is no night nurse. If anything happens during the night, it's just our unlucky karma, that's all. Imagine being in a hospital where 12 hours or 13 hours every day, you have no supervision at all, no bells to ring, any emergency which happens, bad luck. That was the hospital. And so, the treatment was just a cocktail of antibiotics, because they didn't know what the fever was being caused for. They just put as many antibiotics as they could, in the stuff, and they just injected it in your bottom with those recyclable needles they had in the old days. If you get a shot these days, it's nothing. It doesn't hurt at all. A tiny little prick. But in those days, without the high-tech needles, they were blunt. And I'm pretty sure this was the case. They'd use them in Bangkok first of all, because they had to save costs. They recycled them in the northeast, which was the backwaters of Thailand. It was the boondocks. And they'd use them for the ordinary patients first of all, and the last patients they used them for was the monks, because we're the tough guys. So these were incredibly blunt. And the nurse never injected you. She stabbed you in your bum. Oh goodness, that really hurt. And even with all the metta which I had, and I am a compassionate monk, I hated that nurse. Bang into your bottom. Oh, it really hurt. Twice a day. So there you were, sort of really sore, a fever for a couple of weeks, so you got absolutely no energy and all this stuff, because the antibiotics, they really mess up with your brain. But it was just one day, I thought I had enough of this. And so I just decided to meditate instead, just to let go. Make peace, peony, with your body. Make peace with the feeling of intoxication. Just let it be. Don't fight it. Don't be upset at it. Be kind to it. Open the door of your heart to it. And you find that feeling of intoxication just amazingly, it vanishes. And you go deep into your mind. That's what I did. It was so wonderful to be able to go into a deep meditation where you didn't feel this really aching and really weak body. Because when you've had a fever for 2 or 3 weeks, you feel really terrible. No energy, everything aches. And just you go to a place where there's no body left at all, and just so beautiful, so blissful. It's a wonderful experience. You can do that. So I'm saying that from personal experience. Yeah, you may have this feeling like that, but the way to do it is go inside of it. Don't try and get rid of it. Every time you try and get rid of it, it gets worse. If you want to know that beautiful story of the monster in the Emperor's palace, the Buddha called it anger-eating monster. I said that many times before, one of the Buddha's great similes. Get out of here, you don't belong. The monster gets bigger. So that feeling of intoxication you have, if you say, I don't want this, I want to get rid of this, it will get worse. When you say, welcome, monster, thank you so much for coming to visit me. Is there anything I can do for you, feeling of intoxication? Then you find it gets less. And you follow that path, and you go way beyond the feeling of intoxication to where the mind is. The mind doesn't get intoxicated, only the brain does. So yeah, you can do that. And sometimes, it's just a case of if you have a problem, it gives you incentive. And if you have that incentive, you make better progress. And for those of you who don't know, this is one of our old members, Brian Creek. He passed away recently, and one of his friends in the old days was this guy who had very, very bad back pain. Really bad back pain. He was about one of the 8 or 9 people at that time who was permitted to use any drug, even illegal drugs, for pain relief, legally. He could use anything. And because he said that in Osborne Park Hospital, where the pain clinic was in those days, he said they gave him a measure of what he was feeling so he could tell other people. And that was, he said, that his measure of pain, which they could check it, from brain scans or whatever, his level of pain was exactly what you would feel if you were having your arm sawn off, without any anesthetic. He was feeling that all the time. That was the intensity of his pain. And that gave him a lot of incentive to meditate. And I still remember him, when we used to, this hall wasn't built then, we had the hall next door, the community hall, and he came up to me with a big smile and said, I've finally done it. I've got the machine flat. I said, I mean the ECG, to stop your heartbeat. So, oh no, I did that weeks ago. The EEG. They put the EEG on my brain, and I can meditate so deeply, it flatlines. And I believed him because, because of his pain, he had to. He couldn't mess around in meditation. He had to really, really go deep very quickly. He had to let go. The alternative was just too unpleasant. So, sometimes if you have those negative feelings in your body, pain, intoxication, whatever, just like me, just having to see the pain of having a typhus fever for 2 or 3 weeks, it gives you a lot of incentive to do it properly, to really let go. If you have exams coming, in an hour's time, you really do have to get your act together. So you are mindful. You don't just go thinking about, the party tonight or the cricket or, your girlfriends or something. It's important. Because you give it importance, it's not that hard to let go. A lot of times we're lazy. I'm lazy too. If I don't really have to, well, why do we? But when you really have to, you've got no choice. Then amazing what you can do. You can let go. Why? Because you have to. So, sometimes you do have pains, problems, aches, whatever. You're about to die. Sometimes there's a great incentive. As long as you've done enough practice, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. And by now, all these years, many of you have been coming here. If you don't know by now, I'm giving up. So, any questions from the floor here about what we've just been talking about? Now, this is your last chance to ask a question, because next Saturday the monks and nuns aren't going to be here. We're going on retreat. Tomorrow we're having our entry of the rains retreat day down at Serpentine. So, if you have a question, you'll have to go all the way to a monastery in Serpentine or all the way to Gitchigadam to ask your questions. This is your last chance, going. It's amazing, after I keep saying this. I say, no questions, and then there's a whole line of people in front of me asking their questions. Yes, thank you. You go on, because a lot of times it's not... Yeah, okay, well, sometimes they're personal. Yeah, go on. Yeah, because a lot of times people think they're personal, but everyone's really interested. Don't be embarrassed, because, your personal questions, everyone else has had before. Okay, so we'll finish off now then. And I wish you all we're still doing the meditation on Saturday afternoon here, but it will be with some of my talks and some other instructions which have been recorded, and other questions be answered afterwards. So please keep on coming for the meditation, because otherwise if you try it at home, and there's too many distractions, and I'll get this out of the way first of all, but once you're here you have to meditate. A bit of peer pressure is good for you. Okay, great. So let's now bow, and then we can ask personal questions.